sometimes I do like to, not sometimes, 90% of the time I like to filter it. Well, filter what? What's good, y'all? It's Yin, and welcome to episode 0 of my new series, The Cook Up. This series is not going to be like this moving forward. Just for future reference, it's not going to be genre based moving forward. It's going to be more of an artist based shit. So it's going to be like making beats for Drake for one episode, and then the other episode maybe making beats for SZA, something like that. It's not really going to be genre based, but that's why this episode is called episode 0, because we just setting the tone. And I need to get an episode out. I meant to push out the series in fucking June, and it's the end of July. But today we're going to be making jazznb slash jazzplugg beats. And if you're not familiar with what beats those are or what type of beats those are, they're like a range of like jazz, new jazz, pluggnb, and then like traditional plugg. And it's like a mixture of all of those. These beats that I'm making in this video are going to be made with my own interpretation of them, so it's like my own sound, how I interpret how jazznb, jazzplugg should sound. I don't even think there's a traditional way to even make these type of beats, because you don't see too many people rapping on these damn beats. If you want to say jazznb, jazzplugg is pluggnb, then so be it. Then maybe, yeah, there's a traditional way, but I'm doing this in my own interpretation, so please save the critics. I don't need them. And with that being said, let's get started with the first beat. All right, so to start off these beats, I usually always use the same kind of presets. I always start with EPs, as in electric pianos. So I'm just gonna pull up Xenology. I hope to God that this shit don't crash. So I always use the same preset. Well, I don't always use the same preset, but I like to start off with like one preset, and if I don't like if I listen to it for too long and then it sounds like maybe let's switch up the instrument, I'll probably move over. But as a bass instrument that I'll either keep or move on from or just start with, I always use 294 AX Tremolo EP out of Xenology. And to start off my chords, I usually always press this headphone icon right here, and I'll just click them in. Only because I don't have my MIDI keyboard right now, and there's only one port on my laptop that's working. So yeah.
Much later.
Now, usually after this, I will like build another 8 bars around whatever I just came up with. Yeah, I don't know. It takes me a little bit longer to compose, I guess, than other people, because everything that I make is usually from scratch. So why am I acting like I'm confused in my own process? I'm just gonna try to splice these up a little bit, try to make them a little bit more jazzier, give them a little bit more fullness, and then I'm gonna build another 4 bars around this 4 bars, if that makes sense.
So I ended up changing it to this acoustic piano. I don't know. I actually like that. It could be a cool concept for jazz. It's not what I usually do. Like what I said, what I first started doing this. This is not at all what I usually do, but I don't know. Mm, now I'm gonna that took an unnecessary long ass time. Um now I'm gonna do the counter melody on top of that. So that was the first beat right there. I only did 8 bars because that's pretty much how much a structure of a loop to a beat is. It's pretty much, it's either 4 or 8 bars, so I only made 8 bars. I'll structure that out later. The link to buy these beats will be in the description of this video if you are interested in any of them. And yeah, on to the next one. All right, so now we're moving on to beat 2. We're gonna just start it the same way we did the last one, with clicking in the chord notes. And I'm gonna see if I have any new ideas this time around. Maybe it'll be good, maybe it'll be bad, we don't know. But I'm just gonna start once again by clicking in the notes. I already loaded in a preset. It's gonna be 02 Mark II Tremolo EP out of Expand. that's going to be my chord progression that I'm going to use. Now I usually go based off of what I hear. Hold on, let me change the position of this mic because I keep tapping it and I feel like the audio is about to be terrible. Now I typically go by based off of what I hear. I want to try to re-implement the like funky bass pattern that I did. If you watch the beat breakdown of my most hated beat, something like that. So I'm gonna pull up Purity. Purity is my favorite VST to use as far as basses, especially because I don't have Trillion or anything else. I haven't really tried any like bass VST either way, but I love Purity basses because they sound like very virtual but also realistic. So to start transposing that, I usually just keep it on the first impression preset, and then I change the instrument, if that makes sense. It just gives me a clearer head, so I don't have to go through like a million presets. I might go through a million presets anyway, but now that I played with the key a little bit and I picked out my preset for the bass, I'm gonna move on to the saxophone. Both of these beats are gonna obviously have a saxophone because that's kind of what I use as my own signature style when I make these kind of beats. I'll transpose it again with Purity, and then I'll just change the instrument to be expand. Now I'm just gonna customize the preset for the sax because obviously I don't like how the bare saxophone sounds. Sometimes it sounds good for some beats, but sometimes I do like to, not sometimes, 90% of the time I like to filter it. Well, filter, what? I like to layer it with multiple different things so it doesn't sound like just a sax. It actually sounds like kind of like an ensemble, and it also doesn't sound so like flat. Now usually after that, and I only do like the chords done over again for the strings, because sometimes when I don't know what to do for the strings, I just put the same chords under it and it usually just fits. So that just adds another layer. I don't do any more usually than 4 or 5 layers as far as melody. I'm gonna stop this one also at 4 bars. I'm not gonna do another 8. Well, another 4 to make it 8. So after I finish the melody for this one, I'm gonna just move on to the drums. I'm gonna start off with a simple 2-step hi-hat.
approximately 10 hours later.
Alright, so that was episode 0 of my new series, Cook Up. It was pretty cool. I actually really enjoyed the process of like me filming. I hope you guys found this very like educational as well. I hope it taught you something new about Ableton if you use a different DAW. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more. There's more episodes coming soon, obviously. And thank you so much for watching. Deuces.